Have you ever seen Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as happy as he was in the press conference and in the Oval Office meeting with President Trump on Tuesday? Hi, this is Joel Rosenberg, founder and editor-in-chief of All Israel News. And I got to tell you, I've known Netanyahu for 25 years. I've covered and tracked him and monitored his career for about 30 years. And I got to tell you, I have never seen him as happy as he was. And the question is why? Why is Netanyahu, like I would almost say giddy in his relationship with Trump? Now, they have had tensions. And as I said on the video yesterday here on All Israel News, the question was whether Trump and Netanyahu are aligned on all the big issues. I think we can fairly say yes, overwhelmingly they're in alignment. However, we won't know for a while if there are disagreements, and there probably are some on the how, on the exact mechanics of going forward. But we're not going to know that for a while, because the optics were these are two of the closest, they are the closest leaders on the planet. The U.S. Israel relationship is as strong as it's ever been, and it's a complete reset from what Netanyahu had with Biden. Netanyahu has often complained behind the scenes, but it leaks out to reporters, and I can tell you it's true. Netanyahu has been bothered that when he was prime minister back in the 90s, Bill Clinton was the president of the United States, not a Republican. When Netanyahu came back into office in 2009, who was the president? Barack Obama, who was putting an enormous amount of pressure on Bibi to relinquish all of Judea and Samaria and Gaza, and to divide Jerusalem in half and go back to the 1967 lines, which Netanyahu had to refuse to do. But Biden or Obama put enormous pressure on him, and of course Obama did the deal. Right, the secret deal that felt like a betrayal to Israel, a secret deal, a nuclear deal with Iran. So, and then Netanyahu gets Trump for 4 years, and they get so much done. But they have tensions behind the scenes, and then Netanyahu gets Biden and Harris, and that and the region went from peace and prosperity and the Abraham Accords to war, chaos, terror, horror. So Netanyahu is just relieved. First of all, he's relieved that a truly 1,000% pro-Israel president is in the Oval Office. And whatever their past disagreements, Netanyahu is really excited about working with Trump. Trump is, I think, looking forward to working with Netanyahu. That's why Trump invited Bibi to be the first world leader to come. He could have chosen anybody. Trump chose Netanyahu. This is good. Now, that press conference, the meeting in the Oval Office was wonderful. Again, Netanyahu was effusive. And in the press conference, Netanyahu said, Mr. President, you are the greatest friend that we've ever had in the White House, greatest friend to the state of Israel and the Jewish people. This was a big deal, and it wasn't like a talking point. This is really what Netanyahu believes, and he's really excited. But there are challenges ahead. But here's the thing. The most dramatic part of that press conference, which is a shocker, like literally no one saw this coming.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
President Trump, on his own initiative, this was not a request of Netanyahu. President Trump is saying, you know what? The best way forward for Gaza is for the United States to own it, to take control. He used the term own it. Now, he may mean in a moral, sense of we're going to take ownership of the responsibility of what? What he says, we're going to take it over. The United States is going to do it. The United States is going to clean out all the poison. We're going to get rid of Hamas. We're going to get rid of all the undetonated bombs. We're going to get rid of all the weapons. We're going to clear the entire Gaza Strip of the apocalyptic wasteland that it has become, all what Trump calls the demolition zone, because it's just wreckage. I was there. I can tell you, it's apocalyptic destruction everywhere you look. And Trump, as a real estate developer, right, that's how he made his billions, he says, look, we have to clear that all out. Then we have to figure out what are we doing with the tunnels. Then we got to figure out, is it structurally sound? How are we going to build something better, something new, hopefully something better in Gaza, if we don't have the space and the security and the freedom of movement to clean everything out first? And his chief Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, another New York highly successful real estate developer, went to Gaza last week, and he came back saying it's going to take 10 to 15 years before we can really get that place running. So Trump is saying we got to clear it all, and then we're going to rebuild, but we're going to pacify Gaza. It's never going to be run by Hamas again. Netanyahu is overjoyed because one of the biggest question and the biggest complaint, one of the biggest complaints by Biden and Harris was, Bibi, what's your day after plan? What's your day after plan? What's your day after plan? All the European leadership, what's your day after plan? What's your day after plan? And Netanyahu for the last 16 months has been saying day after. Like, we're in a hot war right now with a genocidal terrorist organization that's bound to kill us, and says once they get back in power, they're gonna do even worse than October 7th. So Netanyahu's like, we're not talking yet about the day after. We're talking about each day, and we got to get our hostages back. Now Trump and Witkoff have helped get these hostages back, and let's keep praying for that. But the point is, everybody's been asking, pushing on Bibi, what's your day after plan? What's your day after plan? And one of the things that was difficult is Israel doesn't want to occupy and run Gaza. Israel left Gaza in 2005 because they didn't want to own it. Yes, it's part of Judea. It's actually part of the biblical land grant, and King David and Solomon controlled it, and it was peaceful at its time. But we'll do another video soon on what's the biblical prophetic significance of Gaza and where is it going prophetically. I don't want to do that right now. But this was a huge shock. And even people on Capitol Hill already, my sources are telling me, and people saying it out on X and on their social media, I don't know if that's a good idea. The United States taking ownership, like, we're going to make Gaza great again. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be Gaza a largo. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to build the greatest skyscraper. Like, that is something that even Lindsey Graham, conservative, Republican, pro-Israel, pro-life, one of Trump's, greatest supporters in the Senate. He's like, well, I don't know if the people of South Carolina are going to be for, like, going in and sort of owning Gaza. Just nobody saw that coming, and there's already a lot of, like, what, here on Capitol Hill. So we're going to keep tracking this story. It's a very important story. But here's the key. There's two parts I want you to think about it, and it goes to why was Netanyahu so giddy. Because the other idea that's been floated so far in the region, okay, besides Israel taking complete control and occupying Gaza again, would be, well, maybe the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, should come do it. Maybe Egypt should do it. Maybe Jordan should do it. Maybe the Saudis should do it. Who's going to do it? Or maybe a coalition. But all of those countries said, we don't want to do it. I've had senior Arab leaders from the Gulf tell me personally, we're not putting a dime into that place. Like, they didn't use the expression rat hole, but Trump used the expression, it's a hellhole. It's terrible. It's literally terrible. And it's all a breeding ground for the worst terrorism on the planet, right? We've all seen it for the last 16 months. So if the Arabs aren't going to do it, most of them don't even want to fund it. And Israel's not sure they want to let the Arabs go in there and run it. Why? Because if terrorists start rising up again, how is Israel going to deal with the terrorists without ending up killing a Jordanian or a Saudi and creating or an Egyptian or whatever, and creating a whole new problem, right? So what nobody saw coming was Trump saying, I'll do it. I'm going to do it. We're going to go in there. Now, this is out of the box thinking, and Netanyahu said as much. He said, look, the president is thinking at a whole other level. My goal in the war was to win, defeat Hamas, never allow them to come back, and then we'll figure it out. But he said, the president is thinking at a completely different strategic level. Now, the reason that, so here's the thing, there's two last points I wanted to make. I mentioned it in a moment. But so One is, listening to the president, both on Air Force One last week when he first floated this, and now in the press conference, my read is that Trump sincerely is worried for the Palestinian people, that he genuinely thinks it's not possible to reconstruct this place if everybody's there. We have to clear it. Now, that's leading to the most controversial part. The most controversial part for the Arabs is the idea that Trump is saying, let's move all 2 million or so people out of Gaza and either put them in Egypt and Jordan, or he said, it could be up to 12 or whatever different locations around the world. Let's build them temporary places there. Or he even added, maybe they're permanent places. That's got the Arabs going, I don't think that's a good idea. So that's one issue. But related, the question is the heart. I think Trump genuinely is concerned and wants a better life for the Palestinians. And obviously he loves Israel and wants security for Israel. So I think that in terms of the motive, I think it's an honorable motive. The question is, does he really, really, really mean it? Does Trump mean I'm going to move 2 million people out? Or is this a bargaining tactic? Trump is the art of the deal guy. And what he might be doing is floating something that I'm getting text messages from regional leaders, from evangelical leaders. This is crazy. This is insane. What is he thinking? The question is whether he is putting out there, which he has often done in the first term, he puts out there an idea that seems crazy to many, and then he sort of negotiates it back down to something that's really bold, more bold than any of his fellow deal makers would have thought they would say yes to before. But now they're like, oh, good. We're not doing the crazy. Now we're just doing the bold. This may be what he intends. I really don't know. We're going to keep tracking this at All Israel News, on the Rosenberg Report. We're praying, the Joshua Fund, all of us were thinking, Lord, what should be the future of Gaza? How do we show mercy and kindness and compassion to the Palestinians? This is something that I have been talking about. Not every evangelical, unfortunately, speaks about their compassion for the suffering of the Palestinian people. But I hope that you are hearing on All Israel News, All Arab News, Joshua Fund, Rosenberg Report, Inside the Epicenter podcast. This is my heart. This is my wife's heart, and the teams that I get to lead and have the honor to lead. We care about the Palestinians as well as Israel and as well as others in the region. So to wrap that all up, I don't know if this is an opening gambit. I do know that Trump also wants, in fact, one of his highest objectives is not just to pacify Gaza, neutralize it, and neutralize the Iranian nuclear threat, but he wants to do what I'm calling the deal of the millennium. Trump has not used that language, but I think it fits. He wanted to do the deal of the century between Israel and the Palestinians 8 years ago, 4 years ago. Now I think he wants to do the deal of the millennium, which would be an actual Saudi-Israeli peace and normalization agreement. But the Saudis are saying only if there's a Palestinian state. Netanyahu is saying that's not going to happen, but Netanyahu wants the deal of the millennium with the Saudis. So the question is, do the Saudis actually mean a full-on sovereign state? My view, my sense of it from my sources is the Saudis want a demilitarized Palestinian state, the type of demilitarized, defanged Palestinian state that Trump announced that he wanted in his deal of the century plan in January 2020. If that's the case, that's not something the Saudis and the other Arab leaders are saying yet. So they would need to start saying it. That's what we mean. We want Trump to be pursuing the type of defanged, demilitarized, denazified, de-Hamasified Palestinian entity that Trump wanted in January 2020 and that Netanyahu embraced. Is that a way forward? And can Trump find a way to get the Rubik's Cube to all line up on every side? We don't know. That's what makes it interesting. I'll tell you, a lot of people on Capitol Hill are angst-ridden, but as we've seen with Trump's threat to China, China is a separate issue, but Canada and Mexico, massive tariffs, 25% tariffs on both countries. If you don't, do a better deal with me, I'm just going to slap this down on you. Both countries conceded, right? Trump warned that Panama, we're going to take the Panama Canal. We're not giving it, we didn't give it to the Chinese, we gave it to Panama, but we'll take it back. Panama's like, we'll leave China. We'll go back to you, right? Trump is already getting wind by throwing long balls, setting out what seem like extreme markers, and then negotiating back into something bold, pro-American, America first, but reasonable. So let's keep watching. This is Joel Rosenberg, founder and editor-in-chief of All Israel News and All Arab News. I'm on Capitol Hill tracking this story, and let's keep praying, let's keep watching. God bless.